Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are talking about the slow roll AMC squeeze, what AMC is capable of, how we can easily go into the hundreds, and many more in this video. First, we're taking a look at this. 22% in a single day on a Monday. Not celebrating yet, just a reminder of what AMC is capable of when momentum shows up. Still a long way to go, but the bigger picture hasn't changed. Stay focused, stay patient. So I want to talk about this because it's very important to note this. Yesterday, we obviously went up 22%, but today we are down 2.36%. Now, for those of you who have been here for a very long time, you know that this is normal. But for those people who may be new, who thought that we should have saw another 22% today, you have to remember what AMC goes through. Under normal circumstances, when a stock faces real price discovery, yes, it will have absurd percentages every single day. But when you talk about the implications that's involved with AMC, you are going to be met with other difficulties. In this case, we're still going to see dark pools. We're still going to see FTDs, we're still going to see tokenizations, we're still going to see synthetic shorts. And so the fact that we're down only 2.36%, this isn't something to be worried about. We're still above $2. We are above 150, which is the max pain for this week. And so we're still seeing how plenty of options are still in the money. And we still have a few days to go before the end of the week. And there's obviously momentum coming. And so I don't want people to get kind of discouraged just because we saw a 22% day and then we saw a minus 2.36% day. Again, for the apes who have been here for a very long time, you will be accustomed to this. But for people who are new or maybe worrying about that, and to that, there is nothing to be worried about. We've seen this happen plenty of times, because ultimately what we are realizing is that the AMC short squeeze is beginning a slow roll, much like the Tesla and Volkswagen squeezes. And so we have seen what AMC is capable of. We know that firstly, it can easily go up 22%. And so we know that this is understandable. We know that this is capable of AMC to do. What we also know is that it's going to see this gradually. We're going to be seeing gradual, wherever it's 22%, wherever it's 10%, slowly go up, slowly go up, slowly go up. Yes, there may be some pullbacks during the way, but we are seeing this slowly climbing. And that's the ultimate thing, because at 207, we are already seeing short sellers kind of get damaged with their short positions. But then as we go towards 270, as we go towards 310, at these certain levels that we've mentioned in the past before, you're going to be then seeing even more short sellers go into the reds, and that's going to force them to obviously start covering. We've already seen the potential of Bitcoin and how they're using other assets, and we've talked about this before, in terms of how they're using other assets to short AMC, and the other collaterals from these assets are used to maintain the margin on AMC. And so during a time where we are seeing AMC go up, you're suddenly seeing these assets we talked about before that was used as collateral start to go down. One of the mentions we are obviously talking about is Bitcoin, and this is what we're seeing right now. You can see, is this how AMC will be financed? The Bitcoin market cap drop from the last 5 days high until now corresponds to $140 per AMC share. Now, we already talked about yesterday in terms of what it was a month ago, but you can see how easily money is kind of evaporating from the market when they need to fit the margin requirement, and how easily we can see AMC goes up into not only the tens, but the hundreds and thousands. And the fact that we're seeing this disappearing just from Bitcoin, bearing in mind it isn't the only assets we've known that has been used as a way to suppress AMC, but just the fact that we are seeing from one asset alone within a 5-day price span is able to equate to $140 per share of AMC. You can imagine the power that we have. You can understand kind of the price targets that we are aiming for AMC. And again, this is going to be a slow roll like we talked about earlier, but it's something that's going to eat into the capital of these short sellers. It's something that's going to send AMC really to the moon. And that's what we are looking out for. And at times like this, I want to talk about it in terms of when AMC reaches 60 to 1500, just remember today, you had a chance to buy AMC at $2 plus and you didn't. All the AMC dips you are buying are going to lead to generational wealth. Now, as always, none of this is financial advice, so do take Instagram so much to do your own due diligence and research. But we talked about the opportunities that are with AMC. When we take a look at AMC, Previously, when we first saw the price go up, we were talking about how this is already a very, very discounted value. When AMC was below 0.93, I was talking about how undervalued it is, the opportunity there is. And you can see since then, we have obviously had a very, very good run. Even during the original run up that we had, we talked about how these are still great prices to buy at. And evidently, we were correct and we saw the price to go up to the previous high and even higher. And so it kind of is showing right now about the opportunities of AMC. Now, this isn't to people who have been on this channel for a very long time, because you would know what to do with your money, you would know what to do with AMC. But it's also to kind of remind you, when the time does come, when we do see AMC go to $10, to $20, to $50, a lot of people will have FOMO because they will have thought that I could have bought AMC at $2, I could have bought AMC at $1, but now I'm buying at 30. And at those times, that's when we are going to see then another big projection of the price. And so again, this is what we're looking out for with AMC. You can see the people who have known this, the people who have been apes for a very long time, has obviously been doing the same thing. I averaged down from $65 per share to now $7 per share over the last 5 years. I'm so ready for what's about to happen. This is why I've said, for the people, for the apes who have been here for a very long time, you already know what to do. It isn't for me to tell you in terms of how to deal with your AMC shares, because every apes has been doing the same thing over the last few years. And so we are aware of the volatility, we are aware of the opportunity, we are aware of what to do, and that's exactly what we are doing. And so when we do see the time comes, you can imagine how people who have been here for the longest amount of time will of course benefit the most. We talked about yesterday's volume as well, and again, the last time we saw these volumes back in 2024. So we are now seeing a lot of things happening again. We're seeing the accumulations, we're seeing people really eyeing up AMC. Another big thing is what we are looking at with the fundamentals. From Adam Aram, I'm so proud to be a Swiftie. Once again, Taylor will delight audiences in our AMC theaters with her new original song, I Knew It, I Knew You, in Disney's Toy Story 5, opening at AMC on June 19th. Now, I think that this is a very good thing because firstly, we are already seeing how this is going to be a big kind of incentive to go for Toy Story 5, as it's going to attract the Taylor Swift audiences who perhaps may or may not be fans of Toy Story already, but this is something that would likely to get them to go even more. Now, what we're seeing is how the fact that Adam Aron is talking about this, it feels like there's a future partnership going on. We've already seen the original partnership that has been done. And so this is something it feels like that he's trying to hint at what's to come in the future. Another big thing is we see a very popular content creator, Mr. Beast, who talks about this is just the beginning in a post regarding AMC, where they saw the highest attendance from May since 2019. Now, many people obviously have their thesis on what this is. Perhaps Mr. Beast is involved with AMC in terms of buying shares. Perhaps they're involved with AMC in terms of a partnership, but what I think that is the easiest thing and the simplest things to look at in terms of what he's talking about is obviously referring to these new movies that are coming out that are made by very, very young people. And it kind of talks about how we are now able to see movies that is not clenching on a prequel, is not clenching on a franchise to actually reach out to an audience to gain a massive box office. And so we are in this era now where everyone is capable, not just these big directors, producers, not just kind of going off of these big already famous stories, but even people with creative mind is able to make movies that's going to do very well, that's going to attract people, and that ultimately is going to benefit AMC. So I'm very excited to see that. You can already see for the June lineup for AMC, tons of good things coming out. Already we talked about this Toy Story 5, and then you have all of these scary movies, you have all of these movies that are coming out. I do think it's something that's going to be extremely exciting for this month. I'm definitely expecting big things. And remember, Q2 has already done so well. May has been the best attendance for AMC. You can imagine how June will be very likely to replicate that again. And so a big thing about how we're seeing AMC improving fundamentally is that if Schultz thinks AMC fundamentals are improving, one possible hedge is buying calls. The twist, call buying can trigger dealer hedging, which means more shares buying. Imagine Schultz help building the gamma ramp they're trying to defend against. And so this is a very good thing to look at, and is an interesting thing, because essentially what this is that it's inevitable the box office is improving. We already see this. And so it's inevitable for companies within the industry to benefit from this as well. You already see how AMC is improving and benefiting from this. Record attendance in the month of May. We talked about the earnings improving. We talked about the profit improving. And so with this, we're seeing fundamentally AMC improving. And so many people may be trying to buy calls. We already know that apes are buying calls, retail is buying calls, certain institutions are buying calls. But now what we could be seeing is shorts who are trying to hedge to also buy calls. Now, the big thing about this is for them, it's very worrying. For us, it's a very good thing. For them, whilst they're trying to hedge, what they also are aiding to is the gamma exposure. And so they want to buy calls without massively triggering the price of AMC. But because of the pressure, the kind of exposure it's already going, it looks like they're aiding to the gamma exposure. And so as we see these shorts that are trying to get out, but actually that speed process kind of increasing the squeeze of AMC to go on. Again, we talked about the box office update, Q1 and Q2. We're blowing past expectations. We're seeing how well it's doing. And bear in mind that the majority of the box office is actually in Q3 and Q4. So the very fact we are seeing how well Q2 and Q3 has done, you can expect how big Q3 and Q4 is going to be. And this is why I further said about the fundamentals of AMC improving. And now you can see here, pretty entertaining to watch all those attempt price drops, social media, you name it, to make believe AMC is going south at this price level. So once again, you're still going to be seeing the FUD. And it's why I said, the apes who have been here for the longest time, you will know what's going on. You won't be feared by today's drop in 2.36%. You won't be scared about all of these FUD that's being released, because what they can't lie to you about is the real data of box office improving, of record attendance, of increasing revenue per patron. All of these things are things that we are seeing right now. And so they're trying to tell you about how AMC is going to go down without naming how well AMC is doing. Again, the apes who have been here for the longest time will know. Because on the other hand, what they're not talking about, we talked about this yesterday, is how firms like Citadel, who are trying to increase their loan, despite the fact they posted massive profits. So you can see strong firms refinance to lower cost and optimize. Here, Citadel Securities is upsizing and extending its debt. Pressure from massive hidden short exposure paints a picture of eroded capital from mark-to-market losses on the short book. Citadel is sinking slowly. And this is what we said with how, despite the fact they're trying to print this image of how well they're doing, despite the fact that everyone's talking about AMC, we are seeing these big financial companies that actually be struggling, to actually need even more money. And it feels like that the reason why they are in need of money is because of the over short positions they have on AMC, on GME. And so you can see the effect that we are having right now. And you can see we're already seeing how our Credit Suisse went to zero, our kohrs went to zero, and it just looks like Citadel is going to follow the next. Another big thing that we are seeing is the processing issue right now, where we can see this message: we are currently experiencing an issue with our clearing firm, which may cause positions and transactions to not appear up to date. So it looks like we're already seeing how they are faced with the struggles, the pressure. And you can see this was actually on Webull, where they had the clearing processing issue notice. So it's actually a very, very big thing that we're looking at right now. It just looks like that these guys are struggling. Everything we talked about is, of course, happening. And again, kind of going back to what we said earlier, I want to quickly mention is obviously with the partnership with Taylor Swift. You can see how this was a kind of interaction between Adam Aron and Taylor Swift. Again, it's still something that's very small right now, but the fact that he talked about the previous partnerships, it looks like that's a big thing coming. Also, GME. We talked about how well AMC is doing fundamentally. GME is also doing that. Highest quarterly net income over at 389.6 million, and its highest first quarter operating income at 143.3 billion. We are seeing the improvements. We are seeing how AMC and GME is pivotally changing what they are like. And the fact that it talked about a 2 billion purchase program of shares repurchasing, this is also a major thing. And this is something that we need to be talking about more, and in terms of realizing how big of an opportunity this is. Another big thing in the world, Andrew Lev found guilty of securities fraud. And this is what we talked about with how he was using his media influences to kind of influence trade to make himself benefit. And so when we talk about how these guys who are trying to say that they're doing it for the retail, really, they're doing it for themselves. And this is what we are seeing firsthand happening. Another big thing, hedge fund model being pushed aside by ETFs, as we're seeing the net $170 billion pulled from North American hedge funds. Another major thing we talked about with the illiquidity, with the struggles. We talked about this before in the past, but you're seeing it firsthand right now again in terms of how people are escaping it and why we're seeing the fact that they need to raise money. Finally, reverse repo at 2.5. Nothing major as of right now, but it's still showcasing what's going on. As always, none is ever financial advice, and I'll catch you guys next time.